I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by former Donegal footballer and Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup winner with IT Sligo, Paul Durcan, as he takes a look back at Wednesday evening's Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup final that saw NUIG crowned champions after a hard-fought win over UL. Annually, over 7,000 students take part in the Electric Ireland GA Higher Education Leagues and Championships. Delighted to have you on, Paul. First off, we'll just jump straight into it. That final between NUIG, their first title, and UL, first title since 2003. What did you make of the game and the performance? Obviously, tough enough conditions, but 12 points to 1-6 in the finish.
Yeah, it was this was a tough game. I think very bad conditions. We were out training ourselves in similar conditions, and it was not pretty, to be honest. It was tough going, but anytime any rain came, it was spreading. It was sheeting across the pitch. So, in fairness to the guys, there was some scores taken in those conditions. Guys like Cahill Heenan that came on and at the start of the second half really impressed. The way he cut through the defence to give them that opportunity. They were easy scores in the end nearly, but they looked easy. But I'd say on the pitch they were a lot harder, in fairness to them. So yeah, it was an impressive win by NUIG. I think once the other side of it is when Limerick really came out to play in the second half, you could see the quality they had. They probably could have done that a bit earlier.
So when you look at NUIG, the fact that they won this without Sean Mulkerns, Tommy Conroy, both of them injured, and then you're up against David Clifford and co. That makes it even all the more impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I think you know the Limerick team, I seen the one against DCU. I think it was the same thing. They were a few points behind, and you could see the quality they really had when they came out in the last 5 minutes against DCU. It was they pushed on, and NUI. I suppose after watching that, knew they had to stop Clifford. He's an exceptional talent, and in fairness, the way they set up with the sweeper in front of him, and probably he ended up a bit further away from goal than he would have liked in a few occasions.
Can I ask you about being involved with Sligo and how much you're enjoying being coaching and kind of what your thought process is when you're getting involved with a team, how you'd like a team to play?
Yeah, I suppose the first thing was I was talking to Tony McEntee about the whole what his plan was, and what was in. I suppose what was the target, and I'm living in Sligo. It was an easy decision for me, really. Like with a young family, so I wanted to stay close to that, and be training isn't that far away from me. It's within 20 minutes, so there was a few things obviously with a young family you had to think about in that sense, and after a chat with Tony and Joe, who's in with Tony, it was an easy enough decision for me, to be honest with you, and really enjoying it, and being part of the squad, like the squad with the guys, and that setup again is really good, and they really work hard, and it's been a good league. This last year was tough with the way things went. We weren't really able to get any contact on them, and it's been like a different year, to be honest with you, this year.
Yeah, just in terms of where Sligo are going, I mean, a couple of years ago, COVID meant that they couldn't even participate in that 2020 championship. Last year, lost first time out to Mayo. But when I look at the Division 4 and the games that you've had already, winning 28 points to 5 against Carlow, and then following that up with a win away to Wexford, 2 wins from 2. And like as you're saying there, what Tony McEntee is doing, can you talk to me about like where this team can go, like where they're at and where they should be really?
Yeah, listen, I think they know themselves that they probably haven't performed and are where they are for a reason, but the attitude that they've brought is one that they want to get out of Division 4, move up the ranks, and that's the target. This year is getting out of Division 4. We are, and this weekend we're coming up against, I suppose, a powerhouse of Division 4 in a sense, Cavan, who it's a surprise to see them there. I've seen them against Wexford. They're exceptionally strong. They move the ball very quickly. They've Raymond Galligan in goals, who's proven himself, and putting over scores as well, and they have a strong team, so it's going to be a big step up for Sligo this weekend. But the lads, they're in fairness to them, they're keen to make that step up and see where they're at.
So in terms of the art of goalkeeping now, and maybe how it's changed even since you were lining out for Donegal, I mean, you see Rory Beggan and Niall Morgan contesting kickouts and carrying the ball up the field, and sure Beggan even scored, like they've both scored points from open play. Can you talk to me how much it's changed since when, I suppose, you first started out as a goalkeeper with Donegal?
Yeah, listen, I think it's changed massively. Like the first thing that changed goalkeeping and made it a much more prominent position was the bringing in of the tee. We don't really remember that, but
Mm.
that's where that made a huge difference to goalkeeping. Accuracy and distance and kickouts changed straight away. And then keepers that were, I suppose, capable of kicking balls accurately off a tee really became prominent then, because it was such a primary possession became such a high level component, and that came in through the noughties and was really prevalent in the early 2010 and on. So the and now we're seeing obviously the goalkeeper becoming more of a link man. Some guys are taking it to another extreme. You know, but them guys have serious capability out the field. In fairness to them, and it's something that is hard to find in keepers, and there's probably two of them showing the way, and there's they are exceptional talents. So it's going to be interesting to see, do they move to taking outfield players into goals. But the other side of it is we can't forget Niall Morgan and Roy Beggan are high class keepers as well and can shot stoppers, and that part of the game can't be forgot, because it's really it is it's the winning and losing of a lot of games.
Yeah. And is it at that stage now where managers are looking at outfield players and think, and I know this happened before, I think Kieran McGeeney tried it a few years back, but do you look at an outfielder now and think, well, could he work as a goalkeeper here? Like, do you think it's at that stage?
I think definitely at club level it is. It I've heard you hear it quite a bit at club level, because there's probably a lack of guys that want to go in goals a lot. So has the guy a good strike off the ground, and he might be mobile? He's a goalkeeper option. But at Intercounty, I think the talent is there. Like I know in Sligo, there's three or four very good keepers that you could have in. So it never was a question here. But you know, um, I don't think there'll be a question in Donegal with Sean Patton either. Like they're not looking for an outfield player. He's a high quality keeper, and he's able to handle the ball. His kickouts are immense, and he will pull off saves constantly.
When you mentioned the kicking tee earlier and how that changed things, can you give me an idea of like how your goal kicking range would have changed just by bringing in the tee?
I'd say you would have gained probably another 10 meters, probably, and you would have gained. You would have been able to drop balls into pockets a lot easier. Whereas off the deck, it was hard to get the height on it to be able to bring it down and behind the player. So it gave that option. It also probably brought in low trajectory kickouts to runners from, say, half forward line, and that you were able to get it over the first man, but it was hitting them in the chest. So I think it changed it massively, and for the better. It brought the kick out and into the game a lot more.
And how much bravery then does it require? Because we see it time and time again. It can go wrong. Like you really do have to have nerves of steel.
Yeah, listen, like I know it can go wrong myself. Like I've experienced on the biggest stage when it goes wrong. But listen, like the bravery is shrugging that off. It is, mistakes happen, and then
Mm.
what you do next is the big one. And yeah, like there's like some of the kickouts I see in the league at the moment, which is like even Evan Comerford, some of the stuff he picks out to the sideline is exceptional. The last day Dublin Armagh, the Armagh keeper, like he was picking them out, guys running at full pace, and he had to. It's a very short window where he can put that into the run. So there's a lot of bravery in the short ones as well.
Where do you see the All Ireland being won this year? I mean, I suppose a lot of people are looking at Dublin and thinking there's such turnover here that inevitably, they're going to struggle to hold on to it. But they do have Con O'Callaghan and, the likes of James McCarthy and Owen Merchant to come back into the team. Armagh look very good. Donegal always seem to be right there, but never quite can get over the line and losing a couple of tight games. Tyrone champions, Kerry are there. Who do you see as the main runners and riders?
I looking at it, I think Dublin are still going to be there. They'll get out of Leinster. And Kerry, Cork haven't been going that well down there. Clare seem to be going well, which could put a bit of a fight up, but Kerry will probably get out of Munster. So it's hard to look past the two of them. And, we've seen in the Sigerson how many players of Mayo last night that were so influential. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with, they were there's a lot of guys that played last night and played very well that are from Mayo, so they're going to be thereabouts.
Yeah, so what do you think it is that's stopped Donegal probably pushing on a little bit in the last few years? A couple of tight games, getting out of the Super 8s. It feels like they have all their raw materials, but just getting over the line, it hasn't happened. Like last year was quite unfortunate. I suppose Michael Murphy wasn't fully fit, misses the penalty and gets sent off. But I mean, that's not a reflection of how classy he is, obviously. But it's just Donegal overall not quite getting over the line the last few years.
Yeah, it's been tough. Like I was there when Mayo beat us in the Super 8s down in Castlebar. We weren't. Mayo were much more they were a lot more dominant that day. You could feel it in the crowd. The intensity they brought. It was a bad day. They hit hard. Maybe we weren't fully prepared at the time, but Donegal, they have the quality. There's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of guys. Patrick Bertie's playing very well, and he's come to the fore. And hopefully these guys, if you get Jamie Brennan going back well when he comes back, they'll take the pressure off Murph in the full forward line as well. But that's one thing is he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Do you miss playing yourself, like those big games for Donegal?
I don't know. I've listen. I was lucky enough to experience it at the time and enjoyed it, but happy enough now to sit back and enjoy watching other guys do it. So no, I am happy to be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and did you feel like you very much embraced coaching when you got involved in it, or did it take you a while to warm up to it?
No, it's something I knew I wanted to do. I knew I'd never be a manager. So I
Why do you
really
say that?
just kind of something that never really appealed to me. Really like the coaching aspect of it and the goalkeeping. I think there's a bit of science to it, and you can break things down on it, and it's technical. So enjoy the technical side of it. So really, I always wanted to do it. Even when I was playing, I would have talked to the coaches that I was with, about what we were doing in coaching. So you felt like you were always coaching yourself a bit too.
Right. And do you feel like that there's more evolution to come with goalkeeping? I spoke with Stephen O'Keefe, obviously a hurling goalkeeper, week, and he was saying that the reason that the hurling goalkeepers have started drifting out from the goals is because it's now two-man inside full forward lines. They're both playing more or less inside the 14 before they make their movement. So the amount of space that you have to move into, it's so appealing. But so I'm sure that's the same in football to some degree. But that and the evolution of goalkeeper, where do you see it going?
I've no doubt that the goalkeeper, in the sense of ball handling and skills, will have to be as good as an outfield player. Do I think there'll be goalkeepers going up the pitch in every game to the halfway line carrying balls? I don't. I could be wrong, but I don't know if that is the right. There's 14 guys out there that should be capable of doing that. So yeah, I think the goalkeeper will become a link man. Needs to be able to pass balls, switch it if teams press up on you, become part of the play, and then step out with ball and carry until pressure's put on. But they're going to have serious ball handling skills. Some goalkeepers struggle to solo a ball correctly. All that will come to play. So that's where Rory Began is exceptional. You know, in fairness to him, his ball handling is second to none. You know, and Niall Morgan as well.
And one final question before I let you go. I'm hoping that you saw the All-Ireland Club final last weekend and that last moment when Conor Ferris was out the field getting involved and he had to boot it. But my opinion would be, I wouldn't blame him for that because he was trying to support a teammate and there was still, the ball was out of midfield and there was 14 other players who could have stopped that goal getting there. What was your thoughts when you saw him out the field with the ball?
Yeah, you know, it probably was a position that you could see he had to do it. You know, was he was forced to, you have to give credit to Kilcoo, the way they narrowed the pitch and the sideline on him. You know, he didn't really have much options. It's easy to say now he should have kicked it out over the line, but you know, he like that, he was clearing his lines. He still got back. You know, I think there was probably a few opportunities where the ball could have been stopped too prior to it hitting the net. You know, maybe a foul could have been committed. Who knows? You know, there was options, but it's very easy to say that after, you know, in the heat of the battle. You know, so that was, in fairness to Kilcoo, you know, they have been doing that all year, and it's been amazing to watch.
Okay, well, look, it was brilliant chatting to you, Paul, and best of luck for the
No worries.
season with Sligo.
Appreciate that shit. Thanks, Smiley.
Okay, so that was Paul Durcan, former Donegal footballer. Don't forget to tune into the live show today at 1 p.m. All the Thursday shows are now patreon.com/our game, just a £5 a month.